Hello, 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 you super duper double delicious person. As Millie always says, whether you're watching this morning, evening, afternoon, whenever, welcome back to our podcast. Millie, take it away and do your introduction.
Sure. All right. So, good morning, good evening, and good night. Channeling the Truman Show there a little bit. My name is Millie Gormley. I am a certified financial planner working with women across Ontario. And for the purposes of this podcast, I am your token middle-aged white chick.
That is never going to get old. I love, you know what? Every now and then, I'm going to go off on a tangent for a sec. I know everyone's surprised. I never do that. But every now and then in my seminars, in my work, I run into someone who says something like that. Like, I'm a privileged white male and I'm here to learn or whatever. And
Yeah.
it never fails to catch me off guard. But at the same time, I 100% appreciate the acknowledgement that, like, I'm not interested in shame or guilt, but like, it's such a great place to start the conversation. So thank you so much.
And you're
My
welcome.
name is Sandy
Who are
Boucher.
you?
If you who the heck am I?
Yeah.
My name is Sandy Boucher. Mishko Pakanon Additional Class Mungdodam. I'm Red Thunderbolt Woman of the Loon Clan, a proud member of Seine River First Nation in Treaty 3 territory in Northern Ontario, Canada, and I work to reconcile a country.
No
I
big
work
deal.
in the realm, yeah, just a tiny task. We'll have it done by Tuesday. Indigenous Canadian reconciliation is my game. So I'm either in the First Nation community helping with the healing and the empowerment and remembering the power of our teachings and our customs and traditions and wrapping those around mainstream realities or modern day realities, I should say, or I'm working with non-Indigenous businesses, entities, hospitals, universities, helping them understand this crazy history we've all inherited, and more importantly, how to move forward. And the one thing I've noticed in Anishinaabe culture or Ojibwe culture, we have always believed the quote was the healing starts in the hands of the women, that it was
Ooh.
the women that have the children that want to heal for their families, that want to have a healthier community. So working with women is actually where my career started. And now I can see when I'm working in hospitals and even corporations, so many of the people spearheading the change are women. So in case you haven't noticed, the logo has changed just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Just
Because
tweak a hair.
originally we were just a little bit. Originally, we were talking about the path, and that was a play off of my third book, The Path. But what Millie and I were discussing is the fact that we've been here a little while on this planet, and we can remember being told that certain things were not of concern for women, that they were
Yep.
not girl stuff. And what has highlights every single episode is it's all girl stuff. Your
Absolutely.
finances, your future,
Yes.
your
Yes.
investments, your health, your relationships, everything, your self esteem and confidence. There is no page that isn't girl stuff. So I just thought a rebranding would be perfect because I think it's going to resonate with the people that they see that and think, what's girl stuff? Well, or how dare you say something isn't, and then they watch a podcast and realize we're not saying that at all.
No,
So
no, no. I mean, the entire concept of things being for a certain gender has been something that's been kind of certainly again when you and I were growing up because we are old. It was
yeah,
a much much bigger deal. But I am really happy to see how the kids these days are taking that back and making it not a big deal either because they are so hyper focused on their particular gender and their expression of it, or they're just ignoring it entirely, or they're
yeah.
one thing one day and one thing another day. And it's just, I mean, it can be confusing and a little off putting to people sometimes. And sometimes I will admit, it's like, does this have to be everything that you're about right now? But you know what? For some people in certain places in their life, gender is a hugely defining characteristic of who they are, and they've got to work out what that means for themselves. And it takes
Yeah.
them time and it takes them energy, and we have to respect that. Everybody's got their own journey on the path.
Yeah. And what I love is like just my own personal journey has always, for so many years, I felt like I was squished into a box that
Mm.
someone else designed, built, and defined. And what I see in the younger generation, including my children, are there is no box.
Mhm.
Today, and it's fluid, like you said. I don't have to stay just because I said I'm this, I don't have to stay that way. I can dress any darn way I want to, whether it's, someone that's feminine presenting is wearing a tie or male presenting wearing a skirt. Who cares? It's the way you express yourself. And I just love the refusal to get in the box, right?
Mhm.
And it's like,
Yep.
I wish I had done that. So, whether that would have been accepted or not is besides the point. But yeah, I just love
Yeah.
the you're not going to define me. And especially coming from an indigenous perspective, we've been defined by other people since the settlers got here. So
Absolutely.
really, right? And really just fighting back against that. I don't know about you. I was thinking about this morning. So anyone who follows my work knows, for one, I don't keep things to myself. I literally wrote books about my life. So literally,
I don't know if you're
uh,
capable of doing that, to be perfectly honest.
that would be a box that I'm not getting in.
Exactly.
Right? But I recently turned 60 in April in the spring. And I was thinking about it this morning. This is the best it's been. Like
I love
100%.
that.
Right? Like I am, this because, by the way, full disclosure, Millie is my financial advisor. So the amazing life I live now is a lot with Millie's support and patience. And I'll explain this term to you. That comes up a lot. And that's totally okay because Millie never looks down on people and she understands that's not my industry. And she's
No,
okay with explaining things to me.
that's
But
what I'm here for.
what, like, if there was one thing I've always wanted to achieve, I see this now, hindsight 2020, is self-determination. I don't know how much that is female, how much that is indigenous, or both, and that's what this now is. Like
Mhm.
my entire life, where I live, what I say, what I do, who I hang out with, who's in my inner circle is all determined by me. And compared to some pretty dark years in my past where I was so far away from self-determination it wasn't even funny, this is it. So anyone out there worried about turning 60, it just gets better. Keep going.
No,
I
I
love
love
it.
that. And you know what? I just want to step back one step, just to put the gender thing into perspective as well.
Yep,
The indigenous culture in general has been a lot further ahead on the idea of gender acceptance than mainstream slash
100%.
white culture for years and years and years. So I mean, mainstream could take a lesson
Yeah,
from that.
yeah. For gender, for career path,
Yep.
identity, however, we always believe the child reveals to us who they are. So
Oh,
it's not about helping them to pick a career, it's letting the toddler go. And did they head to the water? Did they head to the bush? Did they want to learn about fishing or hunting or cooking or whatever? Letting them reveal who they are. Like, I honestly struggled for years with labels.
mm,
Okay. What was that comedian's phrase? Like I was ADHD when I was a kid, but no one knew that because that hadn't been invented yet. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Right?
yeah, yeah.
Like we didn't have these labels. And I struggled for the longest time with the labels. And I understand there's huge important because it gets you the supports you need to thrive. Like that part
Right.
I absolutely get. But when it becomes a limitation or a box, I can't do that because I really struggled with that, because the way I was raised, largely my mom's influence, so Anishinaabe influence, I grew up in the era of that's just the way they are, right? Like, you're not good at math, that's just the way you are. So you find something else to do. That person talks slower than other people. That's just the way they are. Sandi talks incredibly fast, just the way she is,
Yeah.
right? So it wasn't a limitation. It wasn't a judgment. It was an acceptance, but it was also came with an expectation. Find out how you would do it.
Right.
You have to pass high school, right? But you struggle in this area. We'll find a way to do it. Is that get a tutor? Is that, think of a different way of practicing it at home? It was never that you can't do this. It was, you're going to do it in a
Figure it out.
different way than other people are, right? Like the way I run my business would probably make a few people's heads explode. Like,
Sometimes I have questions.
And organization, right? If you want structure and organization and like routine, you should probably find another job, another place to work. But it is also
okay. I know Anita, who is Sandy's right-hand woman, and she is the loveliest person. She is calm. She is zen. She is a saint on many levels, and she is exactly perfect for you because she's so different from you.
That woman, okay. Pure transparency here, because I tend to work out of my home at different times in my career. We've had a formal office, but it tends to be out of my home. That poor woman has come to work, I don't know how many times, to find her office in a different room.
Oh no! That would drive me batty.
And she's just, I'm here. All she ever says is, "So I'm here now."
I would strangle you, girl.
She is a saint. She's an absolute saint. I'll ask her to do something, and then like 3 hours later, okay, we're not doing that. We're doing this, and she just nods. She thinks it's funny. So yeah, but
I'm so glad you found each other, because damn.
Well,
I don't think you and I would work well together in that sense, because we both have to be the boss.
Yeah. But we would totally, I learned a long time ago, it is not conducive to another person's work and well-being to share an office with me. I must be contained away from them so they can have some peace, right?
Okay, so we're talking about containment and putting ourselves in boxes. So you recognize that there is a place.
The box. Yes.
There is a place for some containment.
It's
for the safety of others.
I love, right? Because if I can, and Anita knows this, if I can see her, and it might be the niche thing too. So Anita's Indigenous as well. If we can see each other, it's story time.
Okay.
So we'll work for 5 minutes. Oh my God, you're not going to believe what happened on the weekend. And then we'll work for 5 minutes. Oh, you're not. And we'll take turns sharing stories. Like, you're not going to believe what happened is always. It's amazing we get things done, but we enjoy ourselves.
And this is the thing too. I mean, if you can't enjoy yourself while you're working on some level, I mean, yeah, it's not always going to be pleasant. Some days you got to buckle down to do the things.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if you can't come to work looking forward to spending time with the people that you're spending time with, either virtually or in person, and and look forward to just the being there. Like, this is my home office. I love this room. It's my little burrow. It's my little happy place. It's all my stuff is where I want it to be, which is why that's one reason why you and I would have a really hard time working together, because you touch my stuff, I'm going to have a problem with that.
To me, that's a challenge. Let's see if she notices.
She would. But having that
I want
in
you
your
to
work
visit Millie now.
I'm not sure. Do you know where I am?
No. That's probably for
general area.
Containment.
Yeah. Oh, good heavens.
We don't give
but
that
this
address,
thing, right? Yeah. Anyway, so what are we talking about today? I feel like we strayed off whatever topic we actually
We
had.
did, but it was an amazing place to go. So actually, you're going to
Okay.
love this. You're going to love it. And I actually just thought of one when we were talking. So the theme of today's podcast is mistakes are teachers.
Mhm.
The times that we've made a mistake, and I know there's this whole thing out there, we don't call them mistakes anymore. They're freaking mistakes. I've made
You
some
screwed
epic
up.
mistakes, and I own those. Those are my best stories. I'm not giving
Yeah.
them up, right?
Yeah.
But if you're smart, you learn from them. You take the lesson, leave the rest. Don't beat yourself
Yep.
up, but learn from it. So,
Yeah.
along the lines of what we were just talking about and today's theme, I don't know if you've ever done this. I'd be curious to find out. But in the course of my 15-year career, there were times I made the mistake of, I guess the easiest way to put it is doing what I thought I should do because other people did it. One
Right.
of them was getting a brick and mortar formal office, right? I should not be working out of my home. If I want to be established, I should be in a formal office place. Do you know what happened? I then had people mad at me because I was never in the office. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
this is not working well, right? Everyone knows I get up incredibly early. My brain is firing on all cylinders. Like I'm working within 10 minutes of waking up because it's
Mhm.
just, I can get so much done in the first 3 hours. When
Mhm.
I had an office elsewhere, well, now you gotta get dressed and put your face on and pick out your outfit and
Mhm.
commute to the office. By the time I got there, I lost like 2 or 3 incredibly productive hours.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. And then people expect you to be there till 5 p.m. Who
Yeah.
works till 5 p.m.? I start at 6 a.m. I'm not working till 5 p.m.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I'm curious, did you ever do that?
What? Make a mistake? Sure.
No. No,
No,
she's
but
a
yeah.
saint and she never makes mistakes.
I am perfection. No. I can't even hold a straight face saying that, good lord. But, actually, my morning routine is something that has been, in the works for a long time, and it wouldn't be
Okay,
possible if I didn't work at home. So, basically, I'm up whenever I wake up. So,
100%.
since COVID, it's like I wake up when I wake up, and generally, I'm out of bed by 7:30, which is, you
Exactly.
know, even if
Exactly.
I
It's not
right? Even
that.
if I did have to go to an office for 9, 7:30 is doable.
Yep.
So by 7:30, I've got a little gym downstairs, so I do my yoga routine and whatever. I'm out of the gym by 8:15-ish, and, in the shower, do the coffee, do the things, then I'll sit down, do a little bit of meditating, do a little bit of journaling maybe, and kinda think about the day, and it's a very it now this is a very leisurely thing. So I don't park my butt down. Today was about 9:30 when I sat down here and started getting the studio set up and ready for this podcast. So yeah, and I find it's really grounding for me. And the thing is,
Okay.
while you're exercising and while you're in the shower and while you're doing all the things to make your coffee and whatever, there's ideas percolating in the back of your head. There's things that you've been
100%.
wrestling with. I've got to do this today. I've got to do that today. So by the time you actually sit down at the desk and you fire the computer up, you've got at least half formed an idea of this is how the day is going to go today, and you've also got fully formed this is how I want the day to go today, right? this is
Next.
this is where I want to be, this is the mindset I want to have, this is the mental place I want to be coming from. And when you're dealing with other people and things that other people get really emotional about, like their money, it's good for
Yeah.
you to be the calm and centered and focused person. So yeah, it's something that's developed over years. Like I used to be, get up, get in the shower, get out the door, grab a coffee, and I just don't want to do that anymore. Like this
I
running
don't
like a maniac.
know. I don't know if we should share an office, but we definitely should not do mornings together.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. You would
I
harsh my
would
mellow girl.
I would be in the yoga studio going, can I go to the office yet? I'll make a coffee on the way to the office, right? Like
Yeah.
I do that stuff at about 11. So
Oh
I've
yeah.
got
That would
all that
break my
idea, all that
flow.
work
Mm.
done. And then it's like, okay, now I'm mellowed because I got all that stuff done. Now I'm going to
Yeah.
hit my gym. Now I'm going to shower. Now I'm whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, no.
It's very
I
different,
was,
isn't it?
okay, so I got a question.
Okay.
I have an assumption. I'm just wondering if I'm right. Are
Okay.
you one of those people that doesn't talk in the morning? Like you quietly go about whatever you're doing?
Yes, and I would have to say that's not how I started life. That's something that came as a result of adapting to living with my husband, because Sean is not capable of speech for at least an hour
Oh,
after he wakes
wow.
up. Like, not
Okay.
capable of it. Like, he can make his tea, he can, sit down and read the paper and then do whatever he needs to do, and then, but he needs a lot of lead time to get into the verbal part of the day. And so I've just learned that if I come at him and start going, and just first thing in the morning, let's talk about the day and blah 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 blah, it's it's
You
going to be
retreat.
perceived as an assault by him. It's too much. He just can't. So I've kind of adapted to that. And
Yeah.
I don't know if but it's me now, because we've been together like
Yeah.
30 some odd years now. So
Yeah.
that's the vibe. And it's not that I'm conforming to what his ideal is. I think it's just a function of adaptation over years.
100%.
Yeah.
It works for the two
Yep.
of you. You're not there by
Yep.
yourself. I am that really annoying morning person.
Girl.
I am singing to the cats as I put their food down. Right? I
And
am
they probably hate
talking. I
that
am
too.
my okay, this is terrible. When my daughter was a teenager, like I'm talking the kids were like 14, 16. They
Sure.
had their rooms in the basement of our house. I was the first one up, made coffee, already showered, whatever, fed the animals. And then I'm going to go wake the kids so they can get ready for school. And as I would come down the stairs, I'd be singing, good morning, it's time to get up, rise and
Oh
shine.
God,
My
no.
daughter would hear me from her room, and she shared this years later that she would wish for lightning to hit me before I got to her room just to stop that
Oh,
sound.
I
So
mean, on the
that's
one
what the
hand, that's
cats
not
now hear.
nice, but yeah, yeah. But
I get it. I
I know where
totally get
she's
it.
coming from. I get it. I get it. Oh well.
Every
But yeah,
light is on. There's got to be music on. We're awake now. Yeah,
okay. So
it's
how perky are you after 9 p.m. though?
I don't know my name at about 5 p.m. I am
See, that's
serious.
and that's
I
the
have to
trade-off.
plan evening events.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
I am this all day till about 4:30. Then it's like you let the air out of that floppy dude and you just
Yeah, around
and
here we
then
call it
in the
going.
evening
Yeah. No,
call
it's
it
like gonna
going.
say going splat. You get to the end of the day and you've just had enough and you just kind of go boom and you're done. You know,
That
Please
is
pour
such
me a
a
glass of
perfect
wine. I'm not
definition.
capable of doing it myself.
I am on the couch. My butt is not leaving until I'm heading to bed.
Yep.
It's like all the gas has come out. All the
Yeah.
gas.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
you're
your days
looking
are
like
really front
you're
loaded.
frozen.
Oh, am I
Are you
frozen? Can you
frozen,
hear me
hon?
still? Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
I can hear you.
There
Oh,
we go.
now you're back.
Okay. I think
I could hear you. The conversation was great, but
I think the
the
clapping
clap.
threw something off. The camera went, what the hell is
It's like,
happening?
what are they doing? They're clapping. Oh my God. So my mistake was thinking I had to run my business, or I guess reality, my life, the way
Mm,
other people did.
yeah.
And I think that's a real benefit of getting older. You just get tired of those rules.
Mhm.
So when it comes to you and mistakes being teachers, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
Mm. Well, it was just prior to COVID. I had gone into a business relationship with someone else, and I made the mistake of trusting someone that I shouldn't have. And it went sour. I mean, I don't want to get into the gory details because it was years ago now, and I really should get over it myself. But that was definitely a mistake that I made that taught me a whole heck of a lot, and has actually been the catalyst for me living my life the way I do today. So the finally sitting
Nice.
down and saying, you know, screw this. I'm going to do this the way that I want to do it. I'm going to build my business in a way that makes sense for me. I'm not going to jump on every corporate bandwagon that comes around because I think I quote unquote I hate the word should. Oh Lord, do I hate the
Oh,
word
no.
should, you
Yeah,
know? And, yeah, so that's a big one that comes to mind.
yeah,
Um, but, you know, there's always mistakes we make every day. And this is something I'm trying to learn right now. So I'm working with a new business coach, and
yes,
she's very much about following your intuition and listening to your inner
yep,
voice. And I mean, it can get
yep,
quite woo sometimes, the conversations that we have. But that's something that I need to learn, you know, is going with my gut and
yes,
listening to
yes.
listen, because apparently I have what's called in human design. I don't know if you've gotten into this, but I'm learning a little bit about it. It's fascinating actually. It's a combination of like astrology and the I Ching and the chakra system and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's quite complicated and it's a whole thing. There's charts and stuff. So the over analytical part of me loves that. And according to this, I have what's called sacral authority. So that means I need to listen to my gut. Right? It's
Oh,
interesting. Yep.
okay.
And
And
so
you know
that's
what?
something I'm learning how to
Oh,
do.
sorry. That is amazing because, and I bet my last buck you're going to agree with me on this. And it wasn't that I made a mistake, but it was an absolute surprise for me in my business. So, people who don't understand, I do a lot of public speaking, whether it's
Hmm.
keynotes, whether I'm doing a full day seminar and I'm on stage for 7 hours or a half day, whatever. And I tripped over it. It wasn't a decision, it just kind of happened. I'm known for being passionate, so sometimes that takes over.
Yep.
Um, the more I became me, the more my business took off. So
I
when
keep
I
hearing
reacted to
that.
something, when I'm on stage and someone like, and I am me on stage now, and
Mm.
someone will say something, I've reacted with a, okay, we're going to handle this. And I explained to them why that was problematic, not in an attacking way, but I let them know, okay, this took some preparation for me to be able to talk to you about this because that, if I hadn't done my healing and my work, that would have been problematic.
Mm.
But by allowing myself to be as big as I am, as passionate about things, as heart, vulnerable as I am at times talking about different things, that is what resonates with my audience. I believe
Mhm.
110% that the most powerful story we can tell is our own because we put the emotion into it. We like that people react and resonate with our story because we feel it, so they do too. And that's
Mhm.
what with your business, listening to your intuition, you have amazing intuition. You're a very compassionate, caring person. That's why you're in the
Aw.
industry you're in. You most definitely, like the fact that you segmented to just work with women proves that you
Mhm.
weren't into it just because you absolutely love the financial industry, and there's a part of you that I know that does, so don't even go there. But
I'm a bit of a nerd. I like playing
but
with
the
the
fact
numbers.
I like seeing
Oh my god, I've rendered you speechless. This
it's
is
like
I'm making a note of this. I, Millie Gormley, rendered
I had a
Sandy Boucher
physical
speechless for a
reaction
brief
to
shining
that.
moment.
It's like,
Because
no,
that's really not your
I
thing.
love
It's the
the
whole numbers thing.
results of the numbers. I like with my new customer management system, it
Yes.
has gas tanks with the move the needle.
Oh,
And I
fun.
love the graphics. I open it up every morning. Did the needle move? And when I get to do something that I know moved the needle, like literally, that's a literal thing in my industry now,
Yep.
or in my business, and I love it. So I love the results.
Hmm.
Crunching out the numbers, no, thank you. Not something. No, no.
Yeah.
Oh, I got another one. I wrote out a list of my. I
You
made
have
a
a list.
list of my mistakes.
Oh,
This is getting a
okay.
little too
This
close
should
to
be
Catholic
interesting.
confession here. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I can say that I was raised Catholic. I'm not being rude. Okay.
Okay.
Um, business wise,
Yeah.
this might be interesting compared to what we were just talking about. If I could go back and change anything, the
Hmm.
mistake I made was not being scalable sooner.
Mm.
So everything in my business was what I used to describe Sandy dependent.
Yeah.
Meaning, if I was in the room, I made money. If I wasn't in the room, I wasn't. And I
Yeah.
rapidly got to the stage where the goals I had set, there wasn't enough hours in the day to achieve it without risking killing myself.
Yeah. There wasn't enough
So,
Sandy to go around.
right, I needed passive income, something I
Yeah.
could create that would keep generating income, like my video courses online. I get an email that says someone paid for it. Yes, I had to create it once, but I can sell it a million times.
Right.
So, not understanding that for at least the first 10 years of my business.
Well, it wasn't really
That's
much of an
where,
option the first 10 years of your business.
well, you
Like
know
things
what?
like
I got
online
so,
courses are still
well,
fairly new.
even if I had like sold more things, like, I mean, online selling's been around for quite a while.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, more books too,
what
for that matter.
Yeah, and I'm definitely one of those people, and we've talked about this before. We have to acknowledge so many people really struggled during lockdown. But
Mm.
I'm one of the businesses that really was made stronger by it because it forced me to go online and it
Yeah.
forced me to do
Likewise.
things like passive income. So now I was smart enough when the world opened up again and I didn't stop doing those things. I now
Yeah.
have a combination of both. But I literally got to the point, I'd be interested to know if this ever happened for you. I got to the point that I was so busy, I didn't have time to fix what was wrong.
Yes,
I
been
knew
there.
I needed to be scalable. I knew I needed to do things online. I took the course on how to create a video course and didn't have time to do it. So I was
Yeah.
so busy, I became my own worst enemy. And it took lockdown to give me the time to fix it. So,
Mhm. Yeah, no, I've been in that position as well. One of the things I implemented a few years ago was something called it's based on, it's not a literal or religious interpretation of it, but it's a book called The 12-Week Year. And the general idea behind that is that you break your year up into quarters and you set your goal by
okay.
quarters. And at the end of each
Okay.
quarter, you take a solid week out of your business to work on your business. So no client
Okay.
appointments, no events, no anything but I'm going to do those projects that I've been putting off for the last 3 months because I haven't had time. And that's kind of been a
Nice.
game changer, you know,
Yeah.
because it allows you to really focus on what's working. Because 3 months is long enough to really get a handle on whether something is working and you should keep doing it or whether it's not and you should drop it, right? Because sometimes we get
Yeah.
these ideas where we should do something and we carry on with it far too long and, it
Yeah.
doesn't work. So that gives you an opportunity to get rid of the duds, so to speak. And it's
Are we
also an
talking about
opportunity
relationships suddenly?
maybe, I don't know. Oh, that's okay, now you've
Go
rendered
on.
me speechless. If I was doing my relation okay, we've had fights that lasted longer than 3 months, so because 'cause we've been together since 1986. So I don't know that that works for me, but whatever. Your mileage may vary. But anyway, I was gonna say
I
that,
needles.
Yeah, that's a different needle entirely, girl. We're on a different
Different
dial,
gauge, different
different
car.
day, different
Yeah.
gauge. That's it. Yeah. But the idea behind it is when you break things up into quarters, you get a chance to sit back and look at what's been happening and what you want to happen
Yeah.
differently going forward. So you're constantly readjusting and resetting your course, and I found that very, very helpful.
Love it. Rather than waiting to the end of the year and you're so far
Yeah,
off track, there's no, you can't reset it. You got to try again next year.
that's right.
One of the things with having my expanded team now, I get to spend so much more time working on my business than in it.
Hmm.
And when I'm in it, it's like, okay, now I got to delegate something, right? Like, this is not what I should be doing. I love how, even though we don't have formal job descriptions, because that doesn't fit my world. We know which section of the business we each maintain or are responsible for. And
Right.
it's just working absolutely awesome. But I definitely spent, when I did the religious planning at the beginning of the year, these were my goals for the year, and checked
Hmm.
it like maybe December 28th.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that
So
didn't
yeah,
happen.
I can jump. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, well, I was off on that one. Yeah, that
Let's
didn't
see.
work.
In
You know
your
what? Back to
case,
your comment. I'm sorry.
yeah. No, no, go ahead.
In my case,
Well,
well, I was just
okay.
going to
So,
say your comment about how much. Go for it. Go
okay.
for it.
Well, in your case, because you have a staff, like I have people that I outsource things to, but I don't have like a full-time on the go staff person or even part-time. Because you have staff, taking that 1 week at the end of each quarter to at least have one day where it's like a full-on staff meeting. Here's what, like, do the review. How did it go for you this quarter?
Yeah.
What do we want to do differently? What do you see coming up? And that gives you a wonderful opportunity for collaboration with your team and to reset
Yeah.
that. Like, that could be really powerful for you. Just saying.
We don't do it during the summer, but it'll start up again in September. We actually take an afternoon a month that the
Yeah,
entire team
same
comes
kind of idea.
together and we talk about what worked, what didn't work, what are you working on, how can we support each other. So yeah, it's
Right.
awesome. It builds that real team, right?
Yeah.
What I was going to say is you were commenting on how much you love your office. This is your favorite place to be. You love the vibe of
Yeah.
it. I love my office too, but I look at it as the engine of my Ferrari. So I love my living room. I love my backyard. I love my kitchen. I never use it, but I love my kitchen. It looks nice. Anyone who's followed knows I don't do the cooking thing, but
Oh, girl.
this room generates the revenue that pays for all the other stuff, right? So
Yeah.
this is that engine. And when I come in here, that's what I'm focused on. If you want to have a conversation about other things, we can sit in the backyard, dining room, living room, whatever. But in here,
Mhm.
it's business. So, yeah, yeah, I love that. I guess
Yeah.
that's another
Absolutely.
box.
Yeah. Well,
What
another
else is
mistake
there?
that I can think of, another mistake I could think of in my business was that I spent way too much money on marketing stuff that was silly and that just appealed to my ego. Buy an advertisement in this publication and your picture will be here. And like one guy in our office actually bought a billboard one
Oh,
year and that kind of stuff, right? Like putting yourself out
okay.
there, quote unquote, is yeah, I mean a lot of that kind of marketing, and forgive me, online marketing or real world marketing people, it's so difficult to track whether or not it works that you kind of have to assume a
Yeah,
lot of it doesn't.
yeah.
So I've spent
So,
thousands of dollars on crap like that.
yeah. So, for one, ego is not a term I would ever apply to you.
Oh, I've got
So
one.
you may have
Don't kid
think
yourself.
that's well, you hide it well.
Well,
You
thank
wear
you.
it well.
You're
Um,
appealing to my ego by telling me how
so but so that may be like we think it's ego because it's your face
Mm,
on the billboard or whatever, right? But I know for me, if I was driving down Fort William Road and I saw a billboard with your face on, that's my financial planner, right? Like I wouldn't take it as Millie showing off. I would take it, I'm working with someone who's someone. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
I think you may have saw it as a negative, but I wouldn't have.
see, this is why businesses need to talk to their clients,
Yeah.
right? Because that is a very good insight that I had not thought of before. And that's
Yeah.
again my own inner work that I need to do to, you know, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But
That
that's
falls under that holding ourselves back, right? Because we're worried what
yes,
people
what
will
other people
say.
will think and
Um,
assuming that other
yeah.
people will think negative because that's sort of
Yeah.
our own inner voice is negative, which is terrible. And that's another whole
Yeah.
podcast. Good Lord.
We got to do an episode on that for
Ooh.
sure. But for
Mhm.
me, like now in this stage of the game, when I meet people in real life, I just met a fan on the plane to my last event. I was literally struggling to get my suitcase into the overhead bin. And maybe it was a little bit bigger than it should have been, but whatever. That's besides. They let me on the plane. So
Yeah.
I was trying to make it fit. And all of a sudden I hear, "Are you Sandy?" And I was like, okay, well, I'm not the only person with that name. And then she's like, no, Sandy Boucher, you have a podcast or whatever. And it was cute. It was definitely a fangirl moment.
Oh,
But
I love
what
that.
I hear from my audiences so often, back to your advertising comment,
Mhm.
I hear because I'm online a lot, right?
Yeah.
That's how I put my name out there. Um, I hear, oh my God, I see your face everywhere. And to me, that's a positive. That
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they know I'm trying to reach them. It's just I'm not in some dark little corner. It's like, yeah, I saw this post and I saw that picture and I saw this comment. So yeah. So being out there like is not a negative to anyone who works for you.
No.
And it makes it way easy for us to say, no, call the one on the billboard. That's who
Okay,
you
I'm not
should
about
work
to go
with.
out and buy a billboard right now, but still.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's a good insight to have. Thank you for that.
Yeah. No problem. It's interesting. And I've had the same kind of conversations where I think this will have this kind of reaction or whatever. And then, like you said, you hear from your customers, and that's not even close to how they
Mhm.
interpreted it. And I was like, wow,
Yeah.
it's different from your side of the fence, right? So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
different. Duh, duh, duh. Oh, you know what's another mistake I did?
Do tell.
I'm wondering if you've run into a version of this. So, people may not realize when I went into business alone originally for like the first year and a half, 2 years maybe.
Mhm.
And then I started a speakers network.
Mm.
And there are two sides to this coin, feather, whatever. Um, one part of me was I wanted to be the place that if you needed an indigenous speaker, you came to the network and there would be all these indigenous speakers speaking on various topics, all related to reconciliation, but we have power in different places, right?
Sure.
So that was the good side. The reality, the other side that no one knew, I hope, was the fact that I was only 2 years in business. It was still scary as heck. I was still afraid I was going to starve to death. So if I
Yeah.
did it with other people, it wouldn't be as scary. That part wasn't the mistake. The
Okay.
mistake was assuming that if someone goes into business, because all the people that would be part of my network were their own, like they weren't my employees, they were speakers
Right,
in their
right.
own right.
Yeah.
The mistake was assuming everyone wanted success as much as I did.
Mm.
And I rapidly ended up, now a couple of them were absolutely amazing. Others, it became really obvious that they expected me to generate their success. That I was going
Mm.
to get them all these bookings and I was going to do all the arrangements. And it's like, I'm not an admin person. I'm just giving you exposure, more exposure
Yeah.
than your own
Yeah.
website, right? And
Yep.
happy to do up, advertisements and ads and all that. But you need to be working this too. And they had no interest in that. They were quite
Mhm.
happy to have someone else build their success, which we know is not going to happen, right?
No.
So, and it was funny at the time I had a business coach and I had the business coach. I don't know what yours is like, but I had the type that would never tell you what to do, would ask questions to help you realize things, but would
Yeah,
never tell you what to do.
it's like business
And
therapy.
yeah, and eventually when I walked into an appointment and I said, okay, that's it, I've shut down the network, his response was, oh, thank God. And I was like, what? And he said, like, Sandy, you put in so much time, so much effort, so much passion into that, and they just were not meeting you in the middle.
Yeah.
And like he was just praying I would realize this. And I had no, and I'm kind of looking at him like, would have been nice if you said something because I
Yeah.
appreciate your insight. That's why I'm working with you. But that wasn't the coaching
But
style,
would
right?
you have,
So,
right? Because sometimes we get so emotionally attached to the things that we create. It's like, but this is my baby, this is something that I put so much
yeah,
effort into. That sunk cost fallacy, I've put so much effort
yeah,
into this. If I just put a little bit more, if I just work a little bit harder, something's going to happen. It's going to be better. And sometimes when other people point out that, well, maybe it won't, we get our backs up and say,
yeah.
well, but, you know. So,
Okay,
yeah,
for
I don't.
context,
Yeah.
I've been divorced 3 times. I don't do sunk cost. I don't care what I put into it so far. If it's not working, it's not working. I'm out of there.
Fair enough.
Um, and honestly, so speaking was my baby, not the network. I knew
Yeah,
I never would have quit, even if someone told me it was never going to work. But for
yeah,
him to say, to recognize, like I was already feeling the treadmill that I'm working damn hard and I'm not getting anywhere. I think
yeah,
honestly, hearing that from someone else, and it's like, oh, thank God I'm not imagining it. It's not that I'm being lazy and not working hard enough. Anyone who knows me, that's not the case.
yeah.
But yeah, I would have appreciated that insight. And eventually I did just shut it down and go out on my own. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I
yeah,
mean, sometimes I think the whole certainly my industry is trending towards the idea of teaming, right? Where you've got a financial advisor working with you as a team, or you've got a whole bunch of people, a
yeah,
bunch of administrative people, and you've got a team and there's like 6 people on your website and blah blah blah. And I just have a hard time with that. Now, I don't know if that's again my own issues, but I just wanna do my thing. I don't wanna build an empire, you
yeah,
know? I don't wanna have my name on a
yeah,
building. I just wanna do good work with good
yeah,
clients, make their lives better, and and that's it? Like, I don't need
yeah.
to be huge, and sometimes
Like
I think a
100%. And I don't
team
want to be
necessitates
huge.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, I think the model you're thinking of, where they're attracted to you and end up working with your teammate rather than you, is
Ew,
definitely not a model that would work for you, and it
ew,
wouldn't
ew,
work for
ew.
us either,
No,
honestly.
no.
But I have like no one on my team is doing seminars. No one on my team is writing blog posts. The stuff that is me, I'm still doing.
Yeah.
They're doing the stuff like sending out a contract that I don't have to do,
Yeah,
right? They
yeah.
are doing, right? Like I had someone doing the ads. I don't need to do that.
Mhm.
They are managing, like I have someone following up with old customers now, which I had never done before. And as soon as they're interested, it gets kicked to me.
Yeah,
But sending, and I even help design the email they'll receive. So, but I don't need to do the actual outreach. As soon as they are
yeah.
interested, then I need to do it because now we're going to talk about what your offering is. But
Right.
all that other stuff, I didn't give up anything that has to be me, I guess.
Yeah, no, I
So,
think that's a good way to approach it. So you use people for that. I use automations and I use technology for that. So I don't
yeah,
have an appointment secretary. I have Microsoft Bookings or Calendly or something of that
yeah,
nature, right? So if we're looking at booking an appointment, I'll send you my calendar link and then you can pick and choose whatever time works for you. And I already
yeah,
know that that time will work for me because that's what my app is set up to do.
yeah,
And, so I've got a bookkeeper who takes care of my bookkeeping because yeah, not my idea of a good time. And so yeah, I really leverage technology to do a lot of those admin
yeah.
type things that
I
in the
definitely
past
use
would have had a
it.
person.
Yeah, I definitely use a lot of technology, more than I ever have. We have the
Mhm.
customer relation management system now.
Yeah.
And you're going to love this. A year ago, no, the beginning of this year, so it wasn't even a year ago, I still had my paper day book, and that was my calendar,
Yeah.
which when I brought on my salesperson who's in Toronto, almost had a coroner when she asked me to show her my calendar and I held it up. She was like, problematic. Now my staff has access to my calendar and they book things in for me. Right.
Perfect.
So
That's
a
how it should be.
long way in
That's how
like
it should be.
6 months. Right. Yeah. I can still see Tara's face. Like, oh, paper, really? What
Well,
years?
it's
It's like,
yeah,
be
it's
nice.
funny. I still have my this okay. I've had this leather day timer for oh shoot, I've probably had this 20 years now. Oh, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
But I still have it on my desk. I still have calendar pages in it. I use it for like scrap notes and whatever, and it's morphed. So it's not what I base my day on as far as this is where I need to be
Yeah.
and when. It's more of a journal. It's more of a note-taking thing. It's more of a reminders, that kind of stuff, or if
Yeah.
I'm on the phone and I can make a quick note. So that's what it's for. And I'm still emotionally attached to having that little old leather binder that I've had forever. But I think things change their role over time,
Yep.
So like
100%.
that day timer has changed its role over time for me, and I'm not ready to let it go. I've got a whiteboard back here
Yeah.
that I got. I don't know. I got it a couple of years ago. I had a plan for it at the time, and then it
Yeah.
didn't really work out. So every once in a while, I kind of pick it up when I try something different with it. So right now, I'm tracking,
Yep.
who have I talked to this week? So I've got clients, I've got
Okay.
prospects, and I keep a little list, and then I kind of track that. And it's
That's
just
what our CRM does. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, right? So this is in addition to that. So it's just the things that we work with in our business will change their role over time, and it's just being ready and willing to think of different ways to use them.
Yeah.
My iPad was strictly for fooling around for a very long time, but now I use it to take notes on. Like during client meetings, I'm not
Ah,
scribbling on a piece of paper. I'm scribbling on this because I've got the screen cover that you can use the pen on, and so I can actually write notes, which
oh,
rocks.
I
Because that
bet.
way all of my client notes are in one place and I can't lose them.
Yeah, I bet my GM is going to talk me into that. We're going paperless this year. I'm giving up 7 filing cabinets. So we don't want to talk about
Oh!
that yet. I
Oh,
know. It's
that's
like,
a lot, but you know what? You won't regret it. You will not
but you
regret
know
going
what?
paperless. It'll be
I
hell. The
just
transition will be
realized,
awful. I'm not gonna lie.
oh, it is. It totally is. But I figured out why we're friends.
Oh, do
One of the
tell.
many reasons why we're friends. So my day book, okay, my second husband bought it for me, and we
Okay,
split in 96. So I'm guessing he bought it for me in 95. That's
sure.
how long I've had my tiny timer cover. I tell everyone it's my longest relationship. But same
Awesome.
thing in that I didn't want to give it up. That even though it's not my calendar anymore, I had that personal attachment to it. Like I love it.
Yeah,
So
and that's
we are
okay.
coming to the end here.
Yes, we are.
So we got to do our what we're reading, what we recommend, and our quote.
Okay.
So mine's going to be super easy because the book I'm recommending is also the book I'm reading. I already
Alright.
read enough of it that I know I'm recommending this. And it's John C. Maxwell's The 16 Undeniable Laws of Communication. Look at the
Ooh.
tabbies.
Ooh, yes.
And this is not just, obviously, I picked it up because I'm a public speaker, but this
Yeah.
is one on one. This is with family. This is influence. This is like there's 16 different laws. It is so easy to read. It is so matter of fact. Highly, highly recommend. Highly
Awesome.
recommend.
Alright, what's your
And
quote?
now, this is going to get me in trouble, but
Oh boy.
whatever. It's something I'm contemplating. So it's definitely the quote. I can get it. So it's by Jay Shetty. So he's out there as an influencer too.
Mhm.
But the quote was, comfort creates self care, but discomfort creates self-respect.
Ooh, interesting. So
Right?
that's kind of a nod to resilience, probably.
Right. And like going to the gym is not fun. It's
Oh God, no.
discomfort,
Yes.
but it leads to self-respect. When you do your yoga every morning, you walk out of that room feeling good that you did it.
Yeah,
Right? I don't
absolutely.
know about you. Like I may become one with my couch in the evening, but I don't feel great when I'm becoming one with my couch. It's like it's a necessity, but the pride comes from when I do the work, right?
Hmm.
Like I earn that rest, but the self-respect comes from I got that video out on time. I, did the
Yeah,
meeting,
yeah.
whatever. So,
Well, it's
ta-da,
maintaining the proper balance between the rest and the
100%,
accomplishment,
100%.
right?
You
Because if
need
we
self-care, right?
exactly, if we don't feel like we deserve rest because we didn't
Yeah,
accomplish all the things that we said we wanted to,
yeah.
that's problematic as well.
Well, I think that time management, like
Mhm.
I will never get all the stuff I need to get done. I
Oh, no.
will get done every single day what I assigned to today. I just got way better at what I can do in a day that's reasonable, right?
And
My lists were
realizing
just too
what's
long.
reasonable. Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
I think
Okay, s
nowadays, well, I was just going to say one last point. I think there's a tendency to emphasize self care,
mhm,
not realizing that we need self-respect. When we
mhm.
feel good about who we do take better
Yeah,
care of
it's
ourselves. Does
same
that make sense?
2 sides of the same coin for
Yeah,
sure, for sure.
yeah.
So,
Go for it.
my reading has kind of flipped a little bit. I'm reading a nonfiction book because that's what I do a lot of the time. This is
Yeah,
David Halberstam's The 50s. So it's a historical recreation of basically the last time when the white man was unquestionably the authority on everything.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you could start to see in the history where it's starting to shift. I'm still fairly early in the book, so I'm just sort of in the Korean War and Douglas MacArthur and
yeah.
Truman and the
Wow. Okay.
1952 election, that kind of thing. So it's interesting. I'm interested to see how this morphs over time. Like this is not a decade I was
Yeah,
around for, right? My parents were small
yeah,
children during this time, right? But there's a lot of things that started shifting during the 50s that have really impacted, the way we live
yeah.
now. As far as the books I'm recommending 2, and Sandy, I'll send you the links if you want to add them to
Yes,
the show
please.
notes. Okay, so the reason I'm recommending them both is because they're both very similar and yet both very different. One is We Should All Be Millionaires, by Rachel.
Yes.
I cannot remember her last name. And yeah, I know exactly right. Rachel, what the heck's her last name? I don't know. I'll send it in the show notes. You'll see it in the show notes.
Yeah.
But she is a former lawyer, now a business coach. She's a woman of color in the US,
Okay.
and she's got some very
Okay.
interesting perspectives on why it's important for women to take charge of and build those resources and be that person who has the money, because that means that you can make the difference that you want to make in the world. And she's got some
I am
very
so buying this book.
oh, you're so buying this book. You're absolutely buying this book.
Yeah.
Um, and she's got very concrete, step by step kind of instructions for ways that you can improve your income. Because it's not about, in her thesis, is that it's not about not buying Starbucks and saving money that way. It's about generating income and being that engine of
Yeah.
economic wealth, right? So that's the
Nice.
one I'm recommending. And the second one is called Rich as
Okay. Isn't
well,
that the one I told you about?
I don't know if you told me about
I
it,
have that on my
probably.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
I have it
So,
on
yeah,
my shelf.
maybe it
Yeah,
is.
I love
Yeah,
that book. Did you? I wanted to know what you thought of it from that
yes.
financial perspective.
Well, it's so the difference between that one and the We Should All Be Millionaires is that Rich is F is a lot
As
more
F. Yeah.
about yeah, Rich as F is a lot more about the mindset piece and the
Yes.
philosophy behind things, and it's a bit looser in its, um sort of decrees on what you should actually do.
Yeah.
So for someone
Hundred
who's very
percent.
practical minded, it can be a little bit woo.
Yeah, it's
But
not step by step. Yeah.
it's not step by step, no, but the passion and the attitude and the mindset that you have to have is very well outlined, and it certainly gave me a lot of food for thought and a lot of ways to start, thinking a little bit differently. And so I think that those 2 books are actually go hand in hand.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
Oh,
we'll
I
get those
so
in the
need
show
the
notes
second
so
book.
you can
I
check those
only
out.
have half. I need to
Perfect.
get the other half. Yes. And your quote.
Oh, my quote. My quote is a Henry David Thoreau book, or actually, it's a Henry David Thoreau quote from We Should All Be Millionaires, which is written by Rachel Rodgers,
Okay.
now that I've got it in front of me.
Okay.
Like I didn't already have it in front of me before, but here we are. Okay. The quote is Wealth is the ability to fully experience life.
100%.
Right? Pretty simple,
100%.
pretty straightforward, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
without having to, I like to
Yeah.
add, without having to worry.
Exactly. It's if anyone, you don't realize how much time and energy you worry about paying the bills when you can't. And the
Yes.
freedom that comes with not having to worry about that is priceless.
Massive.
Yeah. Right. So back to my self-determination, freedom. That's what financial management is. It's not control, it's finding your way to freedom. Right.
Hmm.
So highly, highly recommend. Also highly recommend Millie. Just saying. Just saying. Just putting it out there. Just
I can be
saying.
found online.
Exactly. Thank you so, so much for joining us
Thank you,
yet again.
darling.
Millie, you
Wonderful.
are amazing. I love you.
Right back at you, babe.
Until next time, everyone,
Until
take
next time,
care.
everybody. Bye.
Bye bye.